Yo, first things first, I'm late to the Love Island gang, so pardon me, but boy, is this entertaining. Let's talk Casey and Anaya. I'm going to try to simplify this down to one compound sentence. You feel me? Both of them are struggling to communicate their feelings about rejection, and the additional cast members are simply fanning the flames. In my opinion, there are four key moments to this entire saga. It's the first coupling, where Casey selected Anaya and Anaya selected somebody else. There's Casa, where both of them started moving a little different. There's the recoupling after Casa. And then there's movie night, where like all hell broke loose. Kudos to the producers. Y'all went crazy. Let me start with the first coupling. That first coupling is a great example of that saying, how you get them is how you lose them. And so let me walk through it a little bit. Casey felt for probably the first time in his life rejected by a woman that he was genuinely interested in. And this was clearly embarrassing to him because if you listen to his language throughout the entire show, he keeps coming back to it. Like, if you really pay attention to what he's saying, like everything he says to and about Anaya tends to go back to this thread of, but you didn't pick me first. And same thing with Anaya. Like, her embarrassment started on day one. She chose others who didn't reciprocate that. And by default, she ended up with Casey, right? Like, that's information we all know. And so her embarrassment on day one is something that we have to keep an eye on. Like, it was planted in both of them. And then it just kind of came to a head over these last few episodes. Casa gets really interesting because both Casey and Naya now have an opportunity to redeem themselves to themselves, right? Like, we're trying to redeem against this embarrassment we've been feeling this entire season. So Casey's energy is totally different because he's now in an environment where he doesn't have to operate from a place of avoidance as it relates to Anaya's feelings. Because one of the biggest mistakes I feel like Casey has made the entire time is he doesn't choose him and he won't deal with the problem in front of him. Instead, he calms down so that he keeps things cool. Anaya is also totally different. She is the most open we've seen in the entire show when she encounters Carl, primarily because the energy is different, right? She's dealing and engaging with somebody who didn't show up with rejection baggage. Interestingly, both of them thrived in an environment where the other person chose them as is. Like, I think that's a piece that people are skipping past. Like, Carl and what's the girl's name? TT, they chose them as is, flaws and all, because they're seeing the same content that we've been seeing. And so the recoupling goes left for one primary reason, in my opinion. Casey bet on the better connection and Anaya didn't. And what this resulted in was an explosion of all those original feelings that Anaya had of embarrassment in that moment, right? Like, and so imagine you've been feeling this way this entire time, and now you put yourself out there again and it fails, right? And so all hell breaks loose, right? And it gets worse because Melanie and Trinity, they jump in, and I know what they were trying to do, right? Like, they were doing it out of love, but they were doing it out of order. Because the reality is, if they're honest with themselves, they weren't mad at Casey. They were frustrated with their friend being embarrassed once again, right? And unfortunately, and folks ain't gonna like this, Anaya just made a poor choice. Movie night, if we just jump over there, like, I chalked that up to Casey said a bunch of unnecessary things about Anaya that made it super clear to me that he was building resentment towards her because of this embarrassment about being rejected. I really wanted him to shut up, but it was like once you shake up a soda, when you open that thing up, it was like he was free and he was just letting it fly, right? Like, anywhere he was getting it off. He was getting it off. But again, in my opinion, his biggest mistake was not standing on his 10 on how he wanted to operate in this experiment. With all that said, like, Anaya is valid in how she feels about the things that Casey said about her. Like, I think she can stand on that 1,000 times, because what you mean you got all these feelings about me and you haven't brought them to me this way? You know what I'm saying? Like, that would confuse me too. However, the things that he said does not validate how her and her friends jumped on that man post Casa recoupling. Because the things that he said was not known information at that moment. And so the idea that they were mad at him because of the quote unquote disrespect is null and void. Like, because y'all weren't aware of the things that he said. So the only thing that you could be categorizing as disrespect is the fact that she, again, put herself out there and got embarrassed because he made a decision for him. Right. And so by definition, you are upset at the fact that he recoupled. Like, the root to all of this, in my humble opinion, and again, I'm a novice when it comes to Love Island, is all of this leads back to embarrassment. Like, if we pay close attention to all the things that both of them are saying, like, if you listen to Aniya and Casey, both of them are saying like words like embarrassment, I look like a fool. It's all about how they look. And I get it because it's on national television, but we're not hearing things like I'm hurt, I'm disappointed. Like, it's all pointing back to embarrassment. And I believe that tracks back to both their first days.